Namaste. Before following any advice or practice suggested in this video, it is always recommended that you consult your doctor as to its suitability, especially if you suffer from any health problems or special conditions. Yamajit, John Hollensby Mayer, and Tridevi Chumundamandir cannot accept any responsibility for any injuries or damages incurred as a result of the exercises and meditations contained in this video. And again, namaste and welcome to our Tuesday Satsang here at Tridevi Chumundamandir. So we're going to be doing a gentle yin yoga practice for anxiety. And we'll also be doing a body scan meditation. And our puja tonight will be a pancha puja, that is a mental puja that I'll guide you through as part of our whole meditation while we're in Shavasana. So I invite you to have a comfortable carpet or a yoga mat and any props that you might find necessary. This could include folded blankets, cushions of various sizes. For the meditation, if you have an eye pillow, that might be a wonderful thing to have as well. So I first want to say just a little bit about the purpose of our yoga sequence and meditation, because obviously we are living in rather uncertain times, and these are times where persons are experiencing various degrees of anxiety. And a key component to anxiety is really a fear of the unknown, uncertainty of what's going to happen. And so as a sankalpam, that is an intention for tonight's practice and meditation, let's focus on the idea that anxiety can be reduced as awareness is expanded. And so let's put the intention out there that in these days ahead, that our awareness is able to expand so that our anxieties, our uncertainties about the future, the near future and the far future, can be reduced. And I'd like to share a little bit about the particular form of the Divine Mother that we'll be honoring this evening. And I'll bring this closer to the camera. This is Svetakali, also known as the White Kali. And she's one of four very important forms of Kali who's worshipped in the Kathmandu Valley. And she is very much associated with wisdom and the power of wisdom to reduce fear. There's a story going back to the 7th century and this goes really back to a time when Nepal was a loose collection of city-states. There was a king of the city-state of Patan, which is just to the south of Kathmandu, which is the capital today. And he was on a hunt, and he got separated from his hunting party. The sun's starting to go down, and he's suddenly being charged by a bull elephant. He runs in fear, and in a state of panic, he hides behind a tree and actually falls into a dead faint. When he regains consciousness, he sees this form of the Divine Mother standing in front of him, and he realizes that he has come upon her home. And so we look at Svetakali. Typically, Kali is black or blue. Her skin is white. So Sveta means white, the white Kali. She's very thin, kind of skeletal in appearance, because she's a form of the Divine Mother that gives everything for her children. She's on a throne of 5 skulls seated in a birth-giving position. She has 8 arms, and we look at her instruments. She has an elephant goad, which represents the divine's ability to move us in the right direction. A small 2-headed drum representing the progression of time. A sword for cutting away those ego-centered issues that hold us back and keep us from truly expressing our full potential. She holds a small shield for the protection of her children. She holds a skull staff called a Katvanga, which represents mastery over change, not fearing change, but looking for those advantages of it, growing through those times of change. And finally, she holds a small coil of rope for binding ignorance. And then she's surrounded by a circle of flames, and this represents enlightenment, the expansion of consciousness, and also transformation. So in our story, the king sees the Divine Mother in front of him, prostrates himself before her, and she immediately calms him, reassures him, and just removes his fear from telling him that he's all right. Now, her temple, which is built on the site of this story, is, and my personal favorite in Kathmandu, I've been there several times. Judging by the site and where the old city of Kathmandu is located, that king probably realized at that moment how safe he really was. He should have been able to see the flickering lamps of the old city of Kathmandu, just barely what would be the distance today, maybe 2 or 3 blocks away. So again, we honor Svetakali, the white Kali, the expansion of awareness, and the removal of fear and anxiety. So again, namaste and welcome to everybody who's tuning in. And I invite you to find a comfortable seated position in your space. Perhaps you want to have a small cushion or a folded blanket under your hips, just to aid the spine in being straight. And in that position, the breath can be expanded. So I invite you to make yourselves comfortable, resting your hands on your knees. I invite you to close your eyes and just begin to breathe deeply. Long, slow, deep, full breaths. Expanding the belly and then the chest as you inhale. And bringing in the chest. And as the end of the exhalation, bringing the belly toward the spine. Completely inflating and deflating the lungs. And just use this time to become aware of all the sensations possible. Just anything that comes into your realm of awareness. That could be the sound of my voice any other sounds in the room or outside of your room. The temperature of the air, the clothes on your skin. Any sensations that come related to being seated upon your mat or upon the floor. And allow yourself to be aware of anything on an internal basis. Any aches and pains from the end of a long day. And any areas of tension. Physical tension, as in tightness of muscles. And also tensions on a mental level. And you may be aware of those existing on a physical level as well. You have a thought of something stressful, and perhaps you notice an area that feels tense physically. Maybe the abdomen, solar plexus area, heart center, throat, jaw. And as you inhale and you focus on these areas of tension, inhale an energy of stillness and of relaxation and peace. And as you exhale, let those tensions, those stresses, leave with that out breath. And I'd like to add to our intention tonight that as a result of our practice, that you be aware of these areas where your stresses manifest physically. And be aware of those physical tensions that stress produces. And when that comes into your awareness in these next few days, I invite you to just take a moment to be quiet. Breathe deeply as we're breathing now. Focusing your breath on those tension areas. And breathe that tension out as you breathe deeply. And breathe in healing and relaxation and balance as you breathe in. And just do that, even if it's just 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And just notice over time how the stress disappears. And so do the fears and anxieties. And so I invite you now to bring the palms of your hands to heart center. And we'll begin our practice by chanting the syllable Om 3 times. So inhale. Om. 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 Inhale and exhale and slowly open your eyes. sit for a moment in simple sitting. Just feel the effects of our breath practice and meditation practice thus far. At the end of our yoga practice, we'll be doing something much deeper in terms of physical awareness. Being a yin yoga process that we'll be doing today, we're going to be holding doing static stretches. We'll be holding the positions for 20 breaths or 2 minutes. And this will allow for the stretching of the muscles and the connective tissues, the release of tightness in those areas, and the release of stress associated with those areas as well. So to begin, we're going to start with Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. So I invite you to bring the soles of the feet together, maybe about 1.5 to 2 feet away from your trunk. As we do this pose, and if you find tension in your lower back, you can always change the position of your feet to relieve that, or come up a little bit out of the pose. Go as far in these poses as breath and body allows. Try not to overstretch. So sitting up tall, inhale, and exhale, sliding the hands forward, keeping the back straight, coming as far till you find that edge where you're meant to be. Breathing deeply. Perhaps coming deeper into the pose as you exhale. Something else you can do for comfort, and something I encourage you to do, is also, if you decide you need a prop, like maybe a couple of pillows under your knees, you can always get out of the pose, make that little prop adjustment, and then come back into the pose. If it feels right, you can round the shoulders just a little bit, keeping the rest of the back straight. And then a nice deep inhale. And exhale, walking the hands back up. Sitting tall again, taking a couple of breaths. Feeling the effects. You might have noticed some nice releases along the backs of the legs, or the hip area, or the lower spine. And then I invite you to, whichever way is safest and easiest for you, to come into tabletop position. We're going to do a variation of child's pose, Baddha Konasana. Your knees should be stacked under your hips, the hands stacked under your shoulders, slight bend to the elbows. And then inhale, exhale, sliding the hands and the forearms forward. Bringing the forehead to the mat, breathing deeply. You can come deeper into the pose if that feels right, or come back if you need to make it more comfortable. But just opening the heart, releasing tension from the shoulders and the chest. And even the slight pressure on the forehead area helps in the triggering of the relaxation response. And then inhale. Exhale, stepping the hands back, coming back into tabletop. Taking 2 or 3 gentle, slow cat-cow stretches just to neutralize the spine. And loosen the muscles of the back. And then just find a safe way to return to simple sitting. Take a couple of breaths. Feel the effects of the practice. And then straighten both legs, widening the feet. Be coming into a wide-legged forward fold, also known as dragonfly. So inhale tall, and exhale, sliding the hands along the legs, keeping the back straight, finding that comfortable edge. Breathing deeply. If you need to stop and put something under your knees, that's fine. If you find you need to come back out of the pose a little bit, that's fine too. And those of you wanting a little more of a challenge, bring your hands to the floor and round the shoulders and come a little more forward. Surrendering further into the pose with each out breath. And then inhale and exhale, come back. Rest for a moment. Couple of deep breaths. See Ringo the cat has come to say hello. And then rolling your shoulders back, bringing your hands to the mat, fingers pointing behind, and then reaching up with your heart, breathing deeply. Finding Anatasana, the heart opener. Just a nice subtle counter pose to all that forward bending. And inhale. And exhale, roll the shoulders forward. Come back into simple sitting. Rest for just a moment. And then bring yourself back into tabletop. If you need a little padding under the knees, that's fine. But like we did before, knees stacked under the hips, hands stacked under the shoulders, splayed hands, nice little micro bend to the elbows. And we're going to be coming into a variation of Kapotanasana, or pigeon. Wonderful release for the hips. So I invite you to inhale and exhale. Bring the right knee forward while straightening the left leg. Keep the right ankle flexed. Keep a micro bend to the shoulders. Engage the core. Breathe deeply. Feel that nice stretch on the hip. And those of you who would like a little bit more of a challenge, I invite you to inhale and exhale. Come forward, sliding the hands forward and finding sleeping swan. This will increase the stretch to the hip. You can back up with your hands if you need, if that gets too much. Listen to your body. But breathe deeply. And just meditate on the experience of the pose. And inhale as you walk the hands back. And then transition yourself in the safest way possible back into tabletop. Take a couple of breaths in tabletop. And then inhale. Exhale, slide the left knee forward, straightening the right leg. Finding pigeon. On the other side, making sure you keep that micro bend to the elbows. And if it feels right, sliding forward into sleeping swan, if body and breath allows that today. And inhale, sliding the hands back. Coming back into tabletop for a moment, resting in tabletop. And then finding a safe way to transition onto your back. And then inhale. Exhale, bending the knees, bringing them to your chest. Breathing, letting the knees move up and down as you inhale and exhale. Rock a little back and forth, maybe up and down, just to neutralize the spine. And then the next inhalation, bring your feet, the soles of your feet, to the mat. We're going to be doing a reclining twist on each side. You may want to have a folded blanket or pillow on where the right knee is going to eventually land. And a more restorative version of this, you could also have a cushion between the knees. But bring the arms into a T-shaped position. Move the hips a little to the left. And then inhale. And exhale, let the knees drop to the right while turning your head to the left. And just breathing deeply. Let the legs relax, the torso. Let the shoulders and the arms relax. And then inhale, exhale, bringing the knees back up, turning the head to center, taking a couple of breaths. Then moving the hips slightly to the right, positioning any props that you might need. That could include a folded blanket or cushion under where your left knee is going to be, or cushion between the knees. And inhale and exhale, let the knees drop to the left, turning your head to the right and breathing. And then inhale. Exhale, bringing the knees back up. Taking a couple of breaths. And once again, bringing the knees to the chest. And you can continue what we were doing. Letting the legs move up and down as you breathe. Or you can grab your toes. Coming into happy baby, also known as stirrup. Feeling the hips open. You can also straighten and bend the legs as you breathe. Feeling a nice release in the lower back. So rocking back and forth a little bit. And then with the next inhalation, release the legs, bringing the feet back to the mat. Taking a couple of breaths. And then straightening the legs and preparing for Shavasana and our guided meditation. So I invite you to make any prop adjustments that you might need to do. You might want to have a rolled blanket under your knees, maybe a slight, something small supporting the lower back, maybe a little something behind the head, especially if that helps to open the airway. You can also do this as a seated meditation, and I'm going to assume that myself just for the purpose of guiding. So you can sit in whatever form of simple sitting is comfortable for you, or you could even sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor and your hands in your lap. Or if it's even an armchair, having your arms resting comfortably on the arms. You may want to have a blanket covering you if you're in Shavasana, or even over your shoulders if you're seated. The body can sometimes lose heat during meditation. But I invite you to just find that comfortable meditative position, either lying down in Shavasana or seated, in whichever way is comfortable. And make any adjustments that you need so that you can stay in the same position for the next several minutes, maybe 20 minutes. And I invite you to close your eyes. If closing your eyes isn't comfortable, you can just keep your eyes partially closed, keep your gaze soft. If you're sitting upright, looking downward, that works too. But make any little adjustments. Allow yourself to remain awake and aware. Let your breath just be normal for the moment as you make yourself comfortable. And start by tuning into the posture of your body, the position of your body. Whether you're seated or lying down, it's going to be helpful to keep the spine straight and energized. And just let the muscles around your skeleton begin to relax. So I invite you now to use the breath to aid in this process. As you breathe in, breathe energy of awareness into the spine, reaching the spine gently upwards. And as you exhale, let go. Allow the shoulders to relax. Let there be some slack in the jaw and soften the chest and the belly. But slow, relaxing, deep breathing. So we'll start the body scan by tuning into the crown of the head. Simply bring your awareness to the top of the head, tuning into whatever is present for you. Can you feel the skin of the scalp? Temperature of the air on your skin? Maybe even your hair? There's no right or wrong, just tune into whatever is physically present at this moment as you focus on the top of the head. Now drop your awareness into the forehead and the brow, tuning into whatever again is present. You may notice the temperature of the air again, maybe some slight scrunching of the brow or some relaxation. Whatever's present, just simply be with it. Now drop into the eyes and the cheekbones. Even if your eyes are closed, you may notice some very small movements to the eyes. Now continue to the tip of the nose and the upper lip. Here you might feel the body breathing gently and naturally. You might notice the air, cool air tickling on its way in and coming out just a little bit warmer. Now move on to the mouth, focusing on the lips, the jaw, and the tongue. You may notice moisture or how the tongue is resting, any tension or slack in the jaw, or just whatever happens to be present. Now drop down into the neck and the throat and just notice any tension or any movement of the body as you breathe. Remember again, it's nothing you have to be experiencing. There's no right or wrong. Just tune into that direct physical experience. Just be present in that moment. Let go of any judgments or thoughts. And just allow yourself to focus on the actual physical body. Now you can move to the tops of the shoulders and into the shoulder blades, perhaps noticing any movement with the breath or sensations of the clothes that are on your skin in that area. And then dropping down into the upper arms and elbows again, just tuning into whatever is directly present with your experience. And let your awareness continue down into the forearms, into the wrists, perhaps noticing any points of contact. Maybe your arms are resting on the floor, on your lap, or on the arms of a chair. Just notice how that feels. And moving into the hands, going over the palms and the fingers, backs of the hands. Just noticing any points of contact where the hands might be touching something or feeling the air. You may notice the temperature of the air feels different on the back of the hand than it does on the palm. And then coming back into the chest and rest there for a moment. Tuning into the body breathing. You can notice the rising and falling, the expansion and contraction and natural movement of the body breathing itself. Now let your awareness drop down into the abdomen and stomach. Again, you may notice the sensations of the body breathing. Perhaps the abdomen rising and falling with the act of breathing. Rest your awareness with the body and just stay with whatever sensations arise. Now allow your awareness to drop down into the hips, the pelvis, the hip area. You can probably feel the point of contact where your body meets the floor or the chair. And taking a moment just to feel those sensations. Then moving into the thighs and the knees. Noticing any points of contact, any tensions, the clothes on the skin, just anything else that's present with your direct experience. Now drop your awareness into the calves, the shins, the ankles, seeing what's present for you at this moment. Perhaps there's some ease or some jittery or anxious feelings in the legs. Whatever is present, just allow yourself to be with it. And finally, move into your feet, going over the heel, the arch, the ball of the foot, the toes, and the top of the foot. Tune into the points of contact, whatever surface the feet might be touching. Now take a moment at this point and just allow yourself now to tune into the whole body together from head to toe, front and back. You may be able to feel the breath energy as it moves through the body. You can get a sense of the entire outline or position of the body as it rests in this place and at this time, but just focus on the body as a whole. And now I invite you to take a deep and clearing breath and just let go of that phase of the meditation. And in your mind's eye, I invite you to find yourself, visualize yourself in a heavily forested area. The time of day when the sun is going down in the west. Things are becoming quieter, and the sky is beginning to darken. Just look around at your surroundings as you walk through these woods. What plants or trees do you see? Do you see any animals? What emotions are you feeling at this point? Whatever they are, just let them be in your awareness at this moment. And then begin to notice as you come into a clearing that there's a small stone temple, very old place. The doors are open, and you see lamps lighting the inside. You find yourself drawn to this ancient temple. You climb a couple of small stairs, you put off your shoes, and you walk in the door. And in the center is an altar. And above the altar is the image of the Divine Mother, known as Sveta Kali, the White Kali. You seat yourself on the floor in front of the altar, and you look upon her image. She's in a squatting, birth-giving position on a throne of 5 skulls. In her many arms, she holds an elephant goad, a small drum, a sword, a shield, a small coil of rope, and a cup made from the top of the skull, filled with blood. She is skeletal, very thin in appearance, and you know that she's the form of the Divine Mother that gives all. Her skin is white, like the white bones and ash of the cremation ground. And that reminds us that nothing, including our stresses and our fears, are permanent. She has 3 eyes, including an eye in the center of her forehead, which represents the ability to see not just in regular waking consciousness, but beyond. She's surrounded by flames, representing both awareness and transformation. She has a crown with 5 skulls, representing the ability to master change and not fear it. And she holds a skull staff, which represents the same idea. And when you look upon her face, you see a very comforting expression and a slight smile, really the nurturing expression of a mother or a grandmother. And you feel a comfort in your heart center as you look upon her face. And when you look upon the altar in front of you, you see that there are all of the objects that you need to give reverence to her, to perform your own personal devotion or puja. So there's a small pot of water with a little spoon that you use to take some of the water and place in your hands, and you anoint your forehead and your heart with some of the water. And you take the spoon and some of the water and sprinkle it on the altar to cleanse the objects there. And there's a small lamp burning. And you take the lamp and you circle it 3 times before the image of the Divine Mother. And you also bless yourself with the flame. There's a little clay bowl with some incense, and you take some of the incense and you light it with the fire of the lamp. And you circle the altar with the incense, purifying the area and the air element. And taking a little more water from the pot, you sprinkle a little more on the altar just to cool the atmosphere. You see a piece of fruit, maybe your favorite fruit from the forest, and you circle it 3 times before the image of Ma Svetakali, and you lay it down at her feet. And there's a little bottle of perfume oil, and you take a little of the oil on your middle or ring finger, and you anoint the 3rd eye of Ma Svetakali and your own 3rd eye for the opening of consciousness. And finally, you see some flowers from the forest upon the altar, and you lay them at the lotus feet of the Divine Mother, giving thanks for her presence. You look up at Svetakali's image, and you notice one more thing. Her upraised hand at her heart level, the palm facing you, the 5 fingers facing upwards. This is the mudra of banishing fear. This is the mudra that tells you, fear not. And you focus on that hand, that gesture of removing fear. And you feel her energies entering your own heart center with her mantra, a mantra of wisdom, a mantra of working with change, and a mantra that works for alleviating anxiety and depression. It is the mantra Hesraim, Hesklarim, Hesrao. Hear the mantra being chanted and hear her healing energy entering your heart and your whole being. Hesraim, Esklarim, Esrao, 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 Hesraim, Esklarim, Esrao. You meditate quietly, feeling the Divine Mother's healing energy. And you feel your fears, your worries, your anxieties slowly disappearing, leaving your body and your mind with your out-breath and being carried away by the surrounding winds. I invite you to take a deep, clearing breath. Letting go of that place, knowing that that divine presence of Svetakali or whatever other deity you're close to is with you always to guide you in the days ahead. Begin to bring your awareness back to this time and this place. Becoming aware again of your surroundings. The sound of my voice, the sound of the bell, and the sound of anything else making the other sounds in the space which you're in. Become aware of your body lying on the floor or seated on the floor or in a chair. Feel the temperature of the room, the clothes on your skin. Slowly begin to move your fingers and your toes, your hands and feet, arms and legs. You make a little stretch. If you're lying on your back, I invite you to inhale and exhale, bending your knees with the soles of your feet on the mat. Rest there for a second. And then let your knees drop to one side and follow them so you're resting on your side. And then engaging your arms and slowly bringing yourself back up into a seated position. Keeping your eyes closed, bringing your hands together at your heart center. Rub your hands together. And place the warm palms of your hands over your eyes. Open your eyes slowly, allowing a little light to enter from between your fingers. Massaging the forehead and the eyes, the face, the scalp, the neck, arms. Bringing the palms of your hands again at heart center. Giving gratitude to yourself for taking part in this practice tonight. Acknowledging that if you feel anxiety in these days ahead, you'll find that place where physically that anxiety is present, and you'll take some time and breathe into that area and let your breath carry those feelings away. Acknowledging that your consciousness is expanding, giving you wisdom, and removing anxiety through knowledge. And finally, namaste, Jai Mata Di, and thank you for being here tonight. A couple of announcements. This coming Friday, we'll be doing the 6th installment of our class, our Satsang, on the Matrika, the Little Mother goddesses. This month, it will be honoring the goddess Indriani, a very protective form of the Divine Mother, the consort of Indra, the sky and storm god. Some people have compare Indra to the Norse god Thor. A lot of similarities, actually. But we'll be honoring her with a class and a fire puja, a homa rite. We'll be performing the puja in our backyard shrine. And you're welcome to join us in person in our socially distanced ritual space outside, or you can join us on YouTube. Either way, the puja will begin promptly at 7 o'clock in the evening. If you wish to join us, please come to 1260 South Xavier Street in Denver, Colorado. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me here at my channel. And I wish you well this evening, a nice good night's restful sleep this evening, and waking up with full awareness for the day ahead. But again, thank you for being here. Blessings and namaste.